Good evening, I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. The Prime Minister is under quarantine, a minister has tested positive and Malaysia has recorded its highest ever number of daily new cases. All that on today's episode. Malaysia today reported a record-shattering 432 new COVID-19 cases. Kedah reported the highest number of new cases with 241, followed by Sabah with 130 cases. Every state and territory recorded new cases except for Perlis and Penang. Selangor recorded 34, Kuala Lumpur reported 7 and Terengganu reported 5 cases. With today's jump in new cases, Malaysia now has 2,336 active cases being treated at medical facilities. The number of patients who require intensive care has also increased to 38, up from 8 last Monday. There were no new deaths attributed to COVID-19 today. Meanwhile, in Putrajaya, Muhyiddin Yassin has been ordered by the Health Ministry to undergo quarantine at home, where he will continue to perform his duties as Prime Minister. In a statement today, Muhyiddin said the Health Ministry issued the Home Surveillance Order, HSO, after confirming that Islamic Affairs Minister Zulkifli Mohamad Al-Bakri was COVID-19 positive. Muhyiddin said he chaired a meeting attended by Zulkifli on October 3rd. Muhyiddin's quarantine order will expire on October 16th. He also revealed that he has been undergoing swab tests for COVID-19 every 2 weeks since April. He underwent another 3 swab tests on September 22nd, 26th and 29th, and the results were all negative. The Prime Minister had travelled to Sabah to campaign for Gagasan Rakyat Sabah candidates in the state election. Since the election, Sabah has witnessed a surge in COVID-19 cases, which have now spread to the rest of Malaysia. Prime Minister Muhyiddin's quarantine order was issued after Zulkifli Mohamad tested positive. Here's more on that. Minister in charge of Religious Affairs Zulkifli Mohamad Al-Bakri has tested positive for COVID-19. Zulkifli made the announcement on Facebook this evening after wide speculation that he had been infected. He said he is currently undergoing treatment, but he was still in good health. He also urged those involved in the events he attended between September 24th and October 4th to get tested for the disease immediately at the nearest health clinic. His statement came just minutes after the Health Ministry released a statement saying an individual who had attended a meeting at the Prime Minister's department on October 5th had tested positive for COVID-19. However, the ministry said the infected individual, who was not named, did not show any symptoms. Contact tracing is currently being done, and those traced have been swabbed in order to undergo mandatory home quarantine. Sabah, which has seen a surge in COVID-19 cases in recent weeks, has added more districts to its lockdown list. 3 more districts in Sabah have been placed under a lockdown to curb the spread of COVID-19. The National Security Council said the lockdown at Kota Kinabalu, Penampang and Putatan will begin at 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday. Essential services, including factories and those involved in the supply chain, will be allowed to continue operations. Dawn to dusk or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. rules have been imposed on restaurants, food stalls, convenience stores, petrol stations and pharmacies. Dine-in customers will be prohibited. All markets except Pasar Harian will not be allowed to open. Only Sabahans will be allowed to enter any part of the state during this period. A maximum of 2 people can travel together to shops for supplies. Taxis and e-hailing cars can only ferry 2 passengers. Yesterday, Sabah reported 126 new COVID-19 cases, the highest in the country, with Kedah coming in second with 113 cases. Now, taking a look at politics, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's long political career may continue beyond his current term as MP. At the age of 95, former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad may not be considering a retirement yet. Speaking to Singapore Straits Times, the former Bersatu leader said he is now likely to contest in the 15th general election. This is in contrast to what he said less than 2 weeks ago in an interview with Kyodo News, that he would not contest in the next general election. In an interview on Friday, Mahathir said his proposal not to stand has caused a lot of unhappiness among his supporters. He added that he was fortunate that he's still able to be active and most people at 95 would not be functional. He said his supporters also don't seem to think he would deteriorate when he grows older. Mahathir's earlier stand had been that he would continue to fight corruption through his new vehicle, Parti Pejuang Tanah Air, but that he would not be contesting in the next election, as he could be as old as 98 should it be called in 2023. His latest 180-degree turn brings about the possibility that Mahathir could run in the next general election should snap polls be called. Based on the vote for the new Dewan Rakyat Speaker, on July 13th, it is estimated that Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has a 111 to 109 advantage in Parliament, a majority of just 2 seats. Furthermore, opposition leader and PKR President Anwar Ibrahim had claimed that he has the support of the majority of MPs, but he has to prove this claim, which he said he would do so in an audience with the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. UUM is the latest university in the country to close after a case was detected on campus. A Universiti Utara Malaysia student who returned from Sabah on September 20th has tested positive for COVID-19. As a result of this, the university has stopped all classes and activities. According to Berita Harian, UUM Vice Chancellor Ahmad Bashawir Abdul Ghani said the student returned to campus recently to undergo Reserve Officers Unit training. He said there were only a small number of participants involved in the training. This comes after University Sultan Zainal Abidin stopped all activities following its announcement that one of its staff had tested positive for COVID-19. The latest wave of the COVID-19 outbreak has wreaked havoc for students who were supposed to begin orientation week or resume studies on campus in public universities on October 3rd. Universities have been off limits since March due to lockdown measures, while schools reopen in July. For now, the government policy is to shut down schools only in the event of confirmed COVID-19 cases. Coming up next, thousands have been left without water in Selangor again. Another river pollution, another round of water disruptions. It's just another day in Selangor. Odour pollution in Sungai Semenir and Sungai Langat caused water supply disruptions in 273 areas, involving over 300,000 accounts in 4 districts, namely Petaling, Hulu Langat, Kuala Langat and Sepang. Selangor State Environment, Green Technology, Science, Technology and Innovation and Consumer Affairs Committee Chairperson He Loy Sian said the pollution detected was from organic substances such as animal carcasses and not from petroleum. The pollution is believed to be caused by a major cleaning up at a duck and goose farm beside Sungai Pajam in Negeri Sembilan. KiniTV spoke to some of the people affected by the latest disruption at Masjid Karyah Bangi in Kajang.
Ini masalahnya ialah kalau air ni punca utama. Elektrik tak ada pun tak apa. Air ni punca utama. Kalau keadaan ni berterusan, memang dia ada masalah pada kita lah semua. Kalau boleh perketatkan kawalan di setiap empangan atau di setiap tempat sediakan air tu, buat kawalan ketat. Kalau tidak, kalau tak ada kawalan ketat, masalah akan berulang lagi.
Perasaan setakat ni memang agak menyukarkan kami lah yang bukan yang sudah berkeluarga, bukan saja yang berkeluarga, malahan yang terlibat. Saya pun tak pasti. Tapi perkara ni pihak kerajaan, khususnya Kerajaan Negeri Selangor, kena ambil sesuatu inisiatif bagaimana nak selesaikan masalah pencemaran di sungai-sungai di sekitar Negeri Selangor ni.
Perkara yang berlaku ni berpunca daripada punca yang sama, iaitu pencemaran air. So ini saya rasa adalah sikap daripada segelintir daripada kita yang mengambil ringan, mengambil mudah akan kepentingan air. So ibarat punca yang kecil menjadi kesan yang besar kepada masyarakat. So diharap pihak berwajib dapat mengambil tindakan tegas dan segera.
Malam tak ada air pukul 6. So memang
dia stop tiba-tiba kan. So kita pun tak sempat nak simpan air. Biasa air stop pun kejap tu datanglah 2-3 jam. Tapi tak tahu pula news ada nuklear ke apa benda tu. So kelang kabut lah sekarang. Lagi-lagi kalau ada budak kecil. Nak blame apa? Nak blame orang yang buang bahan toksin tu lah. Tak boleh blame siapa lagi.
New York City may soon be heading back into a lockdown.
Today, unfortunately, is not a day for celebration. Today is a more difficult day.
Amid growing clusters of coronavirus cases in several New York City neighborhoods, Mayor Bill de Blasio said on Sunday he plans to shut non-essential businesses as well as schools in some of those hard-hit areas starting Wednesday.
It pains me to be putting forward this approach that we'll need, but in some parts of our city, in Brooklyn and Queens, we're having an extraordinary problem, something we haven't seen since the spring. And we have to address this issue forthrightly.
De Blasio said the shutdown would affect 9 zip codes where coronavirus positivity rates have recently spiked.
So the plan is to rewind in these 9 zip codes, to rewind, to go back, to address the problem by using the tools that we know work, which is to ensure that non-essential businesses are not open and a variety of activities are not happening.
If the shutdown is approved by Governor Andrew Cuomo, about 200 private schools and 100 public schools would close. The restrictions come just 3 days after New York City's school system fully reopened, with hundreds of thousands of students returning to classrooms for in-person learning. Many of the city's hotspots include Orthodox Jewish communities. Another 11 zip codes seeing rising positivity rates are also under close watch. Meanwhile, in the UK, a technical failure in England's COVID-19 testing data system resulted in over 15,000 test results not being transferred to computer systems on time, including data used by contact tracers. The glitch has now been fixed and should not be repeated, according to the government, but it has caused Britain to report a record jump in daily cases to almost 23,000 on Sunday. Government officials stressed that the glitch has been found and fixed and that measures have been put in place to, quote, make sure this sort of problem doesn't happen again. News of this latest setback adds further pressure on UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, whose handling of the pandemic continues to come in for criticism from political opponents. Public Health England, who are responsible for inputting the data, said that all people concerned have been given their results in a timely fashion, and that those with positive results have been told to self-isolate. Honda is set to bow out of F1 to focus on other things.
Honda is quitting Formula One to focus on zero-emissions technology. The Japanese firm said that it will drop its long relationship with the sport at the end of the next season. It returned to F1 in 2015. In an earlier stint, its engines dominated the racing series, powering the McLaren team and drivers, including legend Ayrton Senna. Now Honda says it's focused on going carbon-free. Like other automakers, it's rushing to develop electric cars. Its first mass-produced battery vehicle, the Honda E, will be launched this month. The company says it plans for 2/3 of its vehicles to use alternative power by 2030. Domestic rival Toyota said last week it expects annual sales of electric autos to hit 5.5 million in 2025. That's 5 years earlier than it originally expected.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.